Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I was actually going through memes of mine well, not memes. I always call them memes, but they're quotes. Quotes that I have saved in my phone from Instagram that are kind of inspiring or motivating to me and stuff like that. And then I was like, you know what? I haven't read a meditation over here in a while. So I think I'm going to bring out the Melody Baby meditation books, my favorite of life, and read some meditations over here today. So you guys ready for it's been probably a good week since I read some meditations. Are you guys ready? I don't even know what they say. I haven't looked at them in a couple days because I read my other meditation books. I always save these for this video. Okay, so today is May 14th. Let's get into today's meditation. May 14th. Let's look at the last couple ones. Property lines was May 13th. Intimacy, perfection. Okay, May 14th. Honesty. Oh, this will be a good one. Okay, this will be interesting. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 5 of Al-Anon. It's step 5 of most 12-step programs. Talking openly and honestly to another person about ourselves in an attitude that reflects self-responsibility is critical to recovery. It's important to admit what we have done wrong to others and to ourselves. Verbalize our beliefs and our behaviors. Get our resentments and fears out in the open. That's how we release our pain. That's how we release old beliefs and feelings. That's how we are set free. The more clear and specific we can be with our higher power, ourselves, and another human or another person, the more quickly we will experience that freedom. Step 5 is an important part of the recovery process. For those of us who have learned to keep secrets from ourselves and others, it is not just a step. It is a leap toward becoming healthy. Today I will remember that it's okay to talk about the issues that bother me. It is by sharing my issues that I will grow beyond them. I will also remember that it's okay to be selective about those in whom I confide. I can trust my instincts and choose someone who will not use my disclosures against me and who will give me healthy feedback. Wow, what a powerful meditation. Okay, so I'm actually currently in the middle of doing an inventory, and what this meditation is referencing is inventory. Steps 4 and 5 in the 12-step program are about inventory. Step 4 is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of our life. And step 5 is where the one I just read, which is where you share that with another human being, usually a sponsor, but it could also be somebody like a minister, a pastor, a priest, a rabbi, a therapist. It could be somebody like that. There are some groups that do group 5th steps together where you share it in a group. I've never done that, but I've known a couple people that have, like in a workshop and things like that. But usually it's where you make a list in your 4th step, and then in your 5th step, you sit down with your sponsor in a 12-step program and you go through all the things on your 5th step. Now, I am currently doing an inventory over my trauma narrative and everything that happened with the accident and since the accident. It's something that my sponsors wanted me to do for a while. In conjunction and working with my therapist, she and my therapist both agreed that because I was doing this trauma narrative with my therapist, which is like 10 questions that you ask about what you've gone through, what you've experienced, who you are today, who you want to be tomorrow, by like having gone through this trauma, what you remember from it, how it's affected your life. It was really, really hard to go through this and do this. I'm so thankful that my therapist recommended it to me. I would never, you can Google search it and look up the questions for a trauma narrative. I think there's a couple different ways to do it. He did the one that he's educated on doing. I would never recommend somebody doing this alone. This is something that I definitely think you need to be guided through by a professional. It was very, very difficult for me at times. A lot of emotions and things came up other than just the immense remorse and guilt and things like that I felt in relation to the accident. And it was interesting because during the process of doing this, I had the opportunity to talk to the mother of the man that passed away in the accident, which was extremely cathartic for me in this whole process. So my sponsor and my therapist both agreed that after I was done with the trauma narrative was when I would do the inventory over the accident. And really what my sponsor wants me to do is to do inventory over where I'm at today and how do I respond to the world having gone through this. So when you do a 4-step, what you do is you make lists and columns. And so the first part of it is you make a list of resentments. And on your resentment list, and this is another thing that I wouldn't recommend doing without, like I would never in a 12-step program recommend somebody doing an inventory and processing it. I mean, I've known people that have actually done inventories and then they're sitting on all that stuff that came out and it is too horrific for them, right? I would never recommend that anybody does this without a professional or without a guide in a 12-step program, period, in a story that's gone through it before. So in the first part of it, you list your resentments. You list what the resentment is, or who the resentment or what the resentment is about. Because the resentment could be about an organization, it could be about a person, it could be about an event. I was taught in my life in recovery that a resentment is an unfulfilled expectation. It's when somebody acted or something happened that didn't go the way that I wanted it to, or it didn't go the way that I expected it to. And so I've held on to that, right? And that's what a resentment is. It's basically like a grudge that you won't let go of. But a resentment's even more than that, right? Like anger, misery, hatred comes with that to some level. Or you just can't let it go. It's just this thing that you just can't let go, right? In recovery, we say that resentments are the #1 offenders. Because if you hold on to the resentment, then it's going to, like, you know, just build up and build up over time. So it's about letting it go as well. So that what you do on the resentment part of the column is that you, and I can remember the first time I ever did an inventory, there's like in the basic text, it like goes through and shows you the columns. And I was like, had to like have it perfect and whatever. And there's no perfection to it. There's millions of different ways. There's actually like inventory worksheets that you can like get that a lot of people use to like ask questions and do it this way and things like that. So just, if you're in a 12-step program, listen to what your sponsor says about how to do an inventory and do it the way that they suggest. And so when you do an inventory, or the way that I've been taught to do inventory, is that you make a list first of those people or things that you're resentful at. Then the next thing is why you're resentful at them. And the next part is what part of your life has it affected? Like, has it affected your pocketbook? Has it affected your reputation? Has it affected your ego, your pride, your self-esteem? What area of your life has it affected? And the last column is, what is your part in that? And so you talk about what is your part in that, okay? And that's usually something that you go over with your sponsor. Like, I did the other columns, and then when I sat down with my sponsor, we went over what my part is in that, okay? So that's the first part. The second part is you go over, it's a fear inventory. And so you literally make a list of everything that you're afraid of. And it can be things that are rational, it can be things that are irrational. Like, for example, like, I'm deathly afraid of sharks, right? Well, that's an irrational fear. But that also comes a lot into control. And so fear of control or not having control are big things for me, right? The last time that I did an inventory, so the last time that I did a full inventory, I did on the 5th step, which is where you go over with your sponsor. I sat with my sponsor on 2 separate days at 9 hours each. It was literally an 18-hour 5th step. I walked away from there. I literally felt like I'd been carrying like 200 pounds of like baggage on my back that I just left at her doorstep. I felt so free having done it and got this stuff out of there. So she had me like download this sheet online. You can find like a fears list online or whatever of all these different fears. And I literally just went through and circled the ones and wrote them down. The fear, you write down what the fear is, and then you write down like what you're afraid of and how it's affecting you. Okay? And the last part is your conduct. And a lot of people talk about sexual conduct. I was taught by almost every sponsor that I've had to also talk about how you treat other people, how you've used other people, how you've talked to other people. You know, as a woman, who are you as a woman? As a man, who are you as a man? How are you with your family? It's about your overall conduct of who you are and who you were when you were using, if you're doing the inventory over that. And all of that kind of stuff. And having to take a look at all of that. And then you go over that with your sponsor in a 5th step. So, for example, when I did my 5th step with my sponsor last time, I thought I only would have like 4 things I was resentful about, and I ended up having like 40. And when we started going through it, she would like take notes. And so we got down to like the 4th one, and she had all these candles lit. It was like upstairs, she has like this loft with like these, like those love bean bags, and her dog was sitting in one. We were on this couch, and it was very, very cool, very spiritual. And we got down to like the 4th or the 5th resentment, and where we looked at my part in it. And she said to me, I just want to point something out to you as we keep on going. She goes, I've now circled this like 3 times. And she said, do you realize this is like a pattern in what your part is in these things? And part of it, what it was me never like addressing things and like me never standing up to people or saying my piece, like me allowing myself to basically be a doormat. And that was a pattern. And I didn't realize that pattern until she pointed that out to me. That was something that I didn't know. And she was like, this is a consistent pattern. Well, likewise, when we went through my fears, one of the questions that she would ask me if I had a fear, and I can tell you my fears were everything from like, you know, doing inventory. That was on the fear. I didn't want to do inventory. Doing inventory to you know, like losing everything that I have to this, to whatever. Like there was a lot of fears on there, right? And she would ask me, she's like, well, how are you managing that fear? And I would say, well, I just kind of push it down. I don't really think about it. It's like, I just kind of like minimize like how the effects on me. And she's like, how's that working for you? And I'm like, yeah, not real well. And so what I realized through my fear inventory is that my way of dealing with fear in my life is just to act like it doesn't exist, to just push things down and just act like they don't exist, right? So you learn a lot of things. And when you look at your conduct, you start looking at how you're treating people, and there's maybe consistencies, you know, over that. Several years ago, I did a entire inventory just over how I spoke to people. It was eye-opening to me, right? Like, I already knew maybe I didn't speak to people. This was a couple years ago. I didn't speak to people maybe in the right way. My mom had said to me for years, you know, it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. Doing this inventory and looking at specific situations, you know, and then being able to make amends to those people afterwards. You know, I've even talked about some amends I made to YouTubers that needed to be made, like, but I had a lot of people in my personal life as well. It made me so aware of how I speak to people and what I say and things like that, you know, mostly in my personal life. And so the inventory, you learn a lot from that, right? And then you go into 6 and 7, and 6 and 7 is about character defects and getting rid of those character defects. And you can't really be aware of what your character defects are until you go through and you look at how you treat people, what your fears are, what your resentments are, and what your part is in that. Because that is where your character defects lie, right? And then you go on to 8 and 9, which is where you make amends to people. You make a list of people you had harmed, right? That list many times comes from your resentment list, because typically those people that we have resentments to are sometimes people that we have also harmed as well in the 4th column. What's my part in that? So those are sometimes people that I have to make amends to. Not always, but sometimes, right? There's often many situations that are not appropriate, even if you have a part in it, for you to take responsibility. Abuse situations are typical of that, right? Like if you're somebody that's gone through abuse and maybe your part is in that you've never like let it go or had therapy or moved through it. Like I know that like maybe your part is that you're holding on to it, right? Like and that was something that I know when I say that that's not going to be popular, but for me it's all about getting healthy. And so the first time that I ever had somebody say to me, maybe your part is just the fact that you're not willing to let certain things go, or you're, you know, it's not just about letting it go, but processing through it, doing therapy on it, actually talking about it, talking about your feelings about it. You're just lingering on it, right? And when I looked at that, right, like I don't have a part in that. Like my part is not, I did not cause somebody to do this, that, and the other to me when I was a small child and I didn't ask for otherwise, right? Like that's, I have no part in the responsibility in that. But today, who am I today as an adult? Like, am I allowing it to continue to affect who I am today, right? Like with bullying would be a good example of that. Like, am I choosing to stay angry at those people today, to hate those people today? Or am I willing to do the work on it today to try to understand who they were? And do I see those same traits in myself? Do I want to be a different person today? How can I grow and change from those experiences? How can I be different? How can I work therapeutically through that to be a different person today? How can I use those horrible experiences that I had? That's my way of staying stuck today, right? And I don't want to stay stuck in that. You know, I don't want to stay the person that's angry until I'm 85 at the person that bullied me in 6th grade. I don't want to be that person. You know what I mean? So inventory offers us a look really at ourselves, you know? My friend Tanya laughs about this when she talks about it, because she'll say, you know, when I first got to do my inventory, she was like, she said, somebody said, you got to make a list of all the people you're resentful at. And she's like, give me a pen and a piece of paper because I am ready. I got a lot of people. But then, you know, you do that and you get all that out. But then basically what you look at is we all do really have a part in how we respond to the world around us. Even the people that we can't stand, even the people that have hurt us the most, you know, whether or not we're like holding on to that anger and that hatred and it's affecting us, if they're running space in our head for free, or if we've never talked about it out loud, we've never spoken of it, we've never given word to it, we've given it power silently, right? Or, you know, we've never addressed it therapeutically or worked on it, you know, and in some situations we've never been willing to let it go. You know, there's a lot of situations in my life I need to realize I have no control over. I just need to let it go. So inventory is really about awareness. You know, for me, it was so helpful when my sponsor was like, look, these are patterns in how you react to things. These are patterns in how you manage fear. These are patterns in how you treat people. Like, let's work. These are the things you're going to work on next in your character defects, right? It was eye-opening to me. And then those are also things that I've taken to my therapist and worked on as well. So inventory, and you know, inventory is something that if you have a therapist that you want to do inventory with, just say, I want to do inventory of some kind with you. Like, can you find something that's not necessarily a 12-step program? You don't have to be in a 12-step program to do inventory, you know? We say that doing inventory is like taking stock of the good and the bad in your life and working on those things that you no longer want to be there anymore. So anyway, I haven't really done an extensive video about inventory in quite some time, so this was enjoyable to do. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Anybody out there done an inventory? Did I do a good job explaining it? Let me know in the comment section below. There's a lot of people do inventory differently. Just because I said that's how it is, it's not that that's not the only way. A lot of people do inventory differently. That's just my experience with it. So, and I want to make that clear. I'm just one person in a 12-step program, and that's my experience. There's a million other experiences out there. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.